Hello and welcome to Cyber Focus, your source for international business information. I'm Nick Stern and my guest today is Delin Guo, a math student here at Indiana University who spent the summer working with Mumias Sugar Company in Kenya. Delin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'd love to get to talking about your individual project, but first could you give our listeners, our viewers, some background about Mumias Sugar Company?
Sure. Mumias Sugar Company is the biggest sugar company in Kenya. So they provide maybe about 50% of the sugar consumption in Kenya. So it is a private company and it works with a large number of farmers. So it almost about 10,000 farmers. So that's why they need to, they're very interested with how they can have a better communication with farmers. So that's connect to my project in Kenya, in that Mumias Sugar Company, which is doing the survey about farmers.
Now, I know Mumias also has a large number of social outreach programs. Is that all sort of part of them trying to maintain a good relationship with some of the farmers?
Yes. So basically, their relationship with farmers is a contract farming model. So they provide a lot of service, including to help the farmers to prepare their land and provide the fertilizer and seed, and also help them to do the harvesting. But it also take care of the farmers' life, like help them with their health, medical care, that kind of things. And they also provide some help with the education for the kids of the farmers. So basically, all these activities will help the farmers have a better motivation in that contract farming thing.
That's awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about the project that you did when you were working there.
So my project is about the survey with farmers. So basically, we interviewed about 150 farmers face to face. But basically our question is based on how the farmers feel about Mumias Sugar Company, about the service provided by Mumias Sugar Company, and if they have any recommendations what they want the company to do for them.
So how did you conduct these interviews? Were you actually traveling out to meet with farmers in person, or are they coming to you at a centralized location?
Yeah, so originally, we upgrade our plan several times based on what we learned from the interview experience. So originally we planned to ask the field staff to help us distribute the questionnaire to farmers. But we realized that is not a very good idea because most of the farmers don't understand English and they don't have difficulty to read. So we will need to ask the staff to explain the things to the farmers. But each staff take care of about 300 farmers. So they cannot we're not sure they can explain things correctly and clearly to all the farmers. And the other thing is that the survey can be considered as a evaluation of the performance of the staffs. So it should be done independently with the field staff. So then we realized that this idea is not very good to ask the staff for help. So then we think that maybe we should do it face to face. So we come to the farmers meeting. So Mumias had a farmers meeting. They have a outreach program. So the staff will talk with farmers regularly. So usually they will invited about 50 to 100 farmers to a farmers meeting. So we come to that meeting. We ask a few the other student interns help me to translate that form to the farmers. So in this case, the student interns are independent from the Mumias staff. So it is so we hope the farmers will be more willing to talk what they really feel about Mumias. So that is what we do in the second time. And after we collect, and we also have interview some random farmers. So we just go to the field, and if there's some farmers are working on that crops, so we will ask the farmers. So and then after we compare the result between the farmers who attend the farmers meeting and the farmers who we interviewed besides their field, we found the two results are not very consistent. It seems that the farmers who comes to the farmers meeting have more positive opinion compared to the other farmers we randomly interviewed. And we found that, okay, so maybe the result is somewhat biased. We need to, so then we think maybe we should change a different view to do that, a different way to do that. So and for the next phase, we just randomly select some farmers and invite them to to the meeting just conducted without the Mumias Sugar Company, just the students. And then this time the farmers are randomly selected, and so we hope this can reduce the possibility of bias.
So that you kind of thought that the farmers that would come to the Mumias meetings were farmers who were self-selected because they liked Mumias, and that's why they would come to the Mumias meeting?
Yeah, this is one of the possibilities we think, because they are more cooperative. That's why they are willing to participate in the activities done by Mumias. And also I think it's also possibly because the Mumias staff is also in that meeting, so they don't want to say a lot of bad things about them.
Right, so it'd feel kind of the pressure just because of the presence.
Yeah, and the other possibility is that in the second time the survey is only done by the student, so it is also possible that the farmers exaggerate the problems. So because they think the students are not very familiar with the situation, so they will say things worse, and then we can report that to the Mumias Sugar Company, and then the company will treat them better.
So how did you kind of deal with all these different issues of suspected bias?
So basically we ask them, so for the same problem we ask them multiple questions. So we want to know that if their answers are consistent between those questions. So this is one way to do it. And the second way is that we give them something like multiple choice and open-end questions. And we also want to compare their answer between those questions.
So were there any results of the survey that you found surprising or unexpected?
One thing, there are different, so in the farmers we divide them into different groups. So the first group is the opinion leader, who are better educated and they know better about the farming techniques. And also we interviewed people from the majority of farmers, and we compare their answers. It seems that the most of the farmers, the biggest difference comes when we ask them what do you think can improve the situation? So what do you think you can improve, and what do you think the Mumias can do to improve the situation? It seems that most of the farmers who are not very good educated and who are not very have a big motivation in the farming, they will tend to complain a lot. But for those farmers who take more responsibility, and they will talk a lot about what they think can improve. Yep. So and then that's what. So in the end, in the report, we recommend Mumias to have more contact with the farmers who have more thoughts about this. So maybe they can help to educate the other farmers and have a positive impact on them.
Now I'm curious about the conditions of farming in Kenya. Do these farmers have access to modernized equipment, modernized farming techniques, fertilizers, that sort of thing, irrigation?
Yes. So regarding the farming activities, basically Mumias take care of a part of that. So Mumias is the one who is responsible to provide the high quality seed, high quality fertilizer, and they have the updated equipment to help farmers to prepare their land. So the farmers are basically responsible for apply those fertilizer as instructed to the field, and they are taking care they are responsible to get rid of the weed, that kind of things.
Now, Mumias is a huge operation, obviously. You said how many farmers that Mumias operates with. Is it more centralized, or do they have, are they kind of spread out all throughout
Yeah, it
Kenya?
is spread out in a large area. So it usually takes, sometimes it takes about 2 hours by car to reach to the very edge of that zone.
What did you find were some of the most common things that the farmers thought would help improve the situation?
So about the common thing they thought about, so basically the farmers are so one thing one thing in common is that the farmers hope the company can have a better schedule with them. So for example, when the company prepare the seed and fertilizer, they think they will hope the company can deliver it door to door. But it is pretty difficult because there are so many farmers that they are distributed. So there is a gap between what the company can provide and what the farmers can do. So for the company, they think they usually put the fertilizer in the center of some field, and the farmers should go to that field to pick it up. But the farmers think the company should deliver it right to the door. So there are some gap between their expectations. Yep.
How do you think Mumias can deal with these sorts of expectation gaps?
So when we talk with the field staff and the opinion leader who work between the company and the farmers, so they think it would be helpful if there will be some kind of farmer association that can help to coordinate all these activities. Yeah.
That's great. So was there anything about the situation with Mumias and the farmers that you weren't expecting or that surprised you? I mean, was this your first time in Kenya, correct?
Yes, this is my first time in Kenya. So I feel like so after I did interview with the farmers, I'd go back to the internet and search about some literature. It seems that the conflict between the farmers and the company is pretty similar. It's pretty common issue with this contract farming model. So when I talked with some consulting firm, a consultant in Kenya, and he explained this thing, the relationship it's like the couple who hate each other but they never get divorced because they need each other to survive. Yeah, so they have a lot of issues there, but they're trying to work it out. So basically, and when I leave, I talk with some like the director of the farm agricultural department in the company, and he said they are preparing a new program that they want to help the farmers to increase their living condition, to reduce the food security. So they think if they can help the farmers, then the farmers will be willing to help them.
Right. I see how it's a really mutually beneficial situation there, where they're kind of both partner entities.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Kenya?
About around 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
That's how long it took to complete the survey? Where were you staying?
So I leave. The internship is around not that long. So the first few weeks is about the class to help us to know more about the culture and the people there, and then I start the internship. And during the internship, I live in the house of one of the manager in the Mumias Sugar Company. So I think that's a very good experience for me to to talk with people and know their personal lives and about the culture in Kenya.
Yeah. Sounds like a great experience to really kind of immerse yourself.
Yes. And I also visited both the city in Kenya and the rural areas in Kenya. So I feel there are like huge difference between these areas. Yeah.
Now, were there any lessons that you feel like you learned working with Mumias that you thought would be applicable to other countries' situations or other regions' kind of farming difficulties?
Yes, I think so. I think the farm. When I come to Kenya, when I go to that rural area, I feel like it looks pretty. It is kind of familiar to me because I think I saw something similar to that in China and other developing countries. So, I think for the farmers, I think they have a lot of their issues. So, for example, they have difficulties in they don't have a lot of income. So basically, they don't have a lot of savings. They have issues with food security. So if they have some difficulties, like if their kids need the money for education, or if anybody is sick in the family, they don't have money to deal with those emergencies. Then they will sometimes the company says there's a big issue identified in the surveys that sometimes farmers sell their fertilizer and then they don't get good yield. So the company said you shouldn't do that for the quick money. But for the farmers, they don't have savings. If somebody is sick, they don't have the option. The only thing they can do is to sell the fertilizer. So I feel like there is there is to solve this situation, maybe the company or the government should help to provide some support for the farmers. So they should provide some like subsidies, that kind of thing, to help the farmers to help them to buffer in these certain difficulties.
Is that a similar solution to what took place in China?
So yeah, I read some stories about that, yeah, in the newspapers. But in Kenya, it's my first time to have a close observation about these kind of issues. I think the farmers they want to have good yield, they want to take good care of the crops, but they have a lot of difficulties to do that. Yeah.
Dylan, thanks so much for joining us. That does it for this edition of Cyber Focus. If you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, please contact us at ciber@indiana.edu.